Welcome back to episode 2 of Quick Quips. Today, we are going to be making a slightly more difficult version of the last program. And no, I am not using this as an excuse because my long haul is taking way longer to learn than I expected, but that may entirely be the reason. All right, so let's get right back into it. Do the same thing as before. Open up your favorite coding program. Open up a C++ project. Today, we're going to go fuck ourselves. But this time, it's the second version. All right. This time, I don't know why it opened all the way over here. It'll be slightly different. We're going to immediately go into our properties here. Go to our linker system. The drop down. Change that to Windows immediately. But we're going to name the file the exact same thing, base. Obviously, you guys can still name it whatever you want. All right, so we're going to be including the Windows header because we need Windows functions for this to work. I'm going to also be including IOStream and string because we will need a string to output this message. All right, instead of like before where it was just initiate main, now it is going to be initiate win API, win main. And you can do this for a quick shortcut. You can just right click on it, peek the definition, and then just straight up steal what it has to say. I just learned this shortcut today. Control delete actually deletes an entire word, which is extremely helpful. Or an entire string of text before a space. Found that out on accident. Didn't realize I was hitting control when I deleted every single thing I had wrote at work. So that was fun. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the... because we want our full function to access these variables, we will be writing them outside of the initiator. So we're going to do a width and a height for our window width and height. Width equals get system metrics. And then I'm going to forget again, aren't I? SMCX screen. I didn't forget this time. Height equals get system metrics. SMCY screen. All right, so now we have the width and height. Now we're going to want to build a window class. Wind class. This basically tells Windows, hey, this is a Windows certified window, so I can actually open and run. And it also helps direct some of the resources around so it can actually build the window. You only really need to define 3 variables. You can define more, but you need the win proc. You need the class name. And you need the instance. Now, the instance is built on initiation. And if you can see at the top next to win main, the H instance, this is the instance that it builds on program open. Class name can be quite literally anything. You need to include this, my caps lock is on. You need to include this little L to tell it that it's a low pointer. You can name it pretty much anything you want. I have not found any problems with names that potentially overlap with other programs. I'm not entirely sure what it uses it for, but it's important because it doesn't build the window without it. So I'm just going to name it the Go Fuck Yourself class. Can't help myself from laughing at this bit every time. So now we're going to be using something that we haven't used before, and that is a lResult callback. It's more or less a way for the program to keep calling back to a single function after it's stored inside of a main function. And I'm just going to simply name that winproc, not winporc. And we can once again... Oh, sorry. I believe it's in callback. I am wrong. So what we're going to do is, from memory, I believe it's handle, and you can name the handle anything. Then it's uint, and I call that message because that's the message it is looking at. Wparam, I do WP for short. Lparam, LP for short. Now, inside of this, we need to build a switch, and this switch will be looking at the messages that it receives, which we'll code in later. And we will simply make a case for this switch, which the switch is kind of like a switchboard. It goes, I'm looking at this. What in this variable actually pertains to a case? If it does pertain to a case, let me do that case. So for this, we're going to do simply WM Paint, which is Windows Manager Paint. Now we set this equal in the win main to this new procedure, and we register it. Register class. Oops. And it's a low pointer, so it needs an ampersand. Or ampersand. I think I said ampersand. That's not right. And now the easier step. Handle. Name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it window for ease of access. And then we're just going to create a window EX. And there are a lot of variables that go into these windows, actually. Trying to get it to show up. As you can see from this huge list of text here. Actually, okay, yeah. As you can see from this huge list of text here, there's a lot you can put into this. But a lot of this is pretty unnecessary. So for the first entry, we can put it a simple 0 because I don't really need a DWEX style for this. The class name must be the same as the window procedure. And I guess this is how it assigns the window to that class and makes it valid because the class gets registered into the Windows system. Then you can give it a window name. So this is the name that'll appear like at the top of the window or when like you hover over it at the bottom of the screen. For this one, we're just going to simply name it Go Fuck Yourself. All right. And now we're on to the DW style. This is important. Technically, I think you can set this to 0 and it will just appear like a normal window with the minimize, maximize, minimize, or maximize, forgot, unmaximize, and then close. Or you can have it set up as a pop-up, which has none of these. I like using the pop-up for this example because then there's no title bar, so there's nothing in the way except for what you want. So now we can get on to where it places the window, how big the window is, and with the console from the last video, this isn't possible because I think of some sort of security limitation. It doesn't let you position the console anymore or make it bigger in a true sense anymore for, I think, security reasons. But with these windows, you can do whatever you want with them. For our width and height getting system here, there's way more sophisticated methods of getting your width and height. This only grabs the width and height of the screen that the window or the program is currently active on. I do, for my own personal projects, use a different system that actually queries all 3 screens, gets the size of them, and then outputs them into 3 different variables. I'll get into it in later episodes. Now we can pass it the width and height, so it fills the whole screen. And we don't have a parent, so we're going to pass null pointer because we are not pointing this to another window. We do not have a menu, so null pointer, we're not pointing it to a menu. And we give it the instance again. And the LP param, I don't really mess with this a whole lot, so I'm just going to, once again, pass it null pointer. Now we have our window. A good way to check the window, if like the window actually built successfully, is a if statement, and that's just simply if window equals null. Even simpler than that, I think you can pull off a if exclamation point window. It'll do something. For this example, since I am not allocating a console to this, we won't be able to see the output of any error messages. So I'm just going to simply have the program close itself. And if it closes itself, that means an error happened. So now, window closes itself, window builds itself, you know, we need it to show itself. Windows by default don't often show themselves, so it's as simple as writing show window, give it the handle you built before for your window, and then SW show, and that shows the window. You can get even more technical with this. I believe set window position allows you to use, if I could type it right, set window position allows you to use flags, which can change. Oh, no, sorry. The HWND insert after argument can allow you to insert your or have your window appear either above other windows, below other windows, or on top of every window, making it pretty much take up everything and make anything impossible to go above it unless it is also set to always appear above. So now that we're done with that, what I'm going to do is build a rectangle. We need this rectangle to invalidate an area of the screen to make it repaint itself. This rectangle will simply just be the size of the screen. Now we're going to call invalidate rectangle. Like I just said before, we're going to point it to the window that we just made. We're going to assign it to the rectangle that we just made. And for bool be erase, you can have it erase all contents on the screen or on the window or not. For this example, I am just going to have it erase the contents. And then now we need to get the message that it will send to the window. This is simply building a message variable and creating a while loop. There are a couple different while loops you can use for this. Some of them are non-intrusive. Some of them halt the entire code reading process. I'm going to be using one that halts the whole reading process because I don't want to have to do all of this stuff that may be entailed for some of the other methods. Plus, this is an easy method, and this is kind of how I started. So it's simply get message. You then pass it your message variable and the window. Or actually, you don't need to pass it to a window. If you pass it to a specific window, it will only read messages for that window. You can actually leave this as a null pointer. Then it'll send it to every single window. We have no filters. We don't want any filters on this, so we'll be passing it 0 and 0 for the other two filters. And now we will translate the message into a readable format for the window by passing it the message. And then we will dispatch the message so that the window can utilize this message. Now that we've done this, actually, I'm going to add a return 0 at the bottom just to have it. Now that we finish this, we can go back up to our WinProc, and now starts the real process, painting the window, doing every little thing we want to the window. This is quite long sometimes. I'm going to add a little neat feature after the first demonstration. But first, what we're going to start by doing is building an HDC, which is basically what holds the contents of what we want to paint, or what holds the contents of the window. We create this HDC by beginning paint. And you'll notice that we can pass handle, which the handle variable is stored here, which actually points to this window down here. You'll notice, though, that we need a second argument, LP paint structure, which you can simply build by writing paint struct and then whatever you want to name the variable, and that's simply it. And since it's a pointer, you have to add an ampersand before it. All right, now we're beginning paint. We need a place to end paint. So it's simply end paint. And then you just pass it the handle again and the paint structure. All right, so now it begins and stops painting. So now what we're going to do is we need to draw text, we need to fill the background rectangle, and we need to release content we don't need anymore. So what I'm going to start with is filling the background rectangle. So simply build a rectangle. And this is why we stored width and height for later. We can now hold this rectangle from before, 0, 0 width, height, which should fill our whole screen. And then we need to build a brush. A brush basically holds a color, and then depending on the task you give it, it may fill in a region, fill in a specific thing, draw a line, but it specifically uses that brush to tell it, hey, I want this color and this type of pattern. So now what we're going to do is HBrush and name the brush anything. I'm just going to name it brush. And we're going to do a solid brush. Oops, sorry. Create solid brush. And then you pass it a color reference. A color reference can be anything. RGBA, I think CMYK works in this. I think CMY by itself works in this. But for this, I'm going to just be using RGB since it's simple and easy. I'm going to make the background a simple white background. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, so I'm just going to make it a white background. So now, to paint and fill up this background, we need to do fill rectangle. We then pass it the HDC, which is the thing holding the contents of what we want painted or what is being painted at the moment. We then pass a pointer to the rectangle we made before and the brush that we just made. Not brush. So now what that'll do is fill the entire background with this white color. So now we get on to the somewhat trickier setting here, is the drawing of text. By default, text draw is pretty small. I've messed with this a lot. In fact, I guess I could just show you. Draw text here. We pass it an HDC. We pass it a string of text. I believe it needs to be a low pointer. So we're just going to simply fill this in with go fuck yourself. It needs the length of that text, which I think in this example, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 characters long. We need a rectangle to store it in, which you can simply call rectangle and then store it in. For this example, we want it kind of centered. So what I'm actually going to do is 0 for the width, the height. I'm going to do height divided by 2 to center it, or about center it. It's probably slightly off because of the text font. I believe it draws from the bottom of the text. And then we want the full width of the box or the screen. And then we want height divided by 2. For the sake of having it fit in the box, I'm actually going to do minus 50 plus 50. This way we can ensure that it will fit inside of this rectangle. And since it is a pointer, I actually believe I may have done something wrong here. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. We're actually, because I don't remember how to do it that way, we're actually just going to build another rectangle off to the side. I'm just going to name it text rectangle. And then I'm going to just copy this contents in and replace this with the text rectangle. I believe that needs to be a pointer. And then the final argument is what you want to do with that text. There's a lot of things you can do, starting with DT. You have bottom, which sets the pick point to the bottom of the text where it draws from. You can get calc rectangle, which will try to fill that rectangle as best as it can. DT center will center the text in that rectangle. Some of the other ones I don't exactly know 100% what they do, so I'm actually going to leave a lot of these blank except for V center, which we'll be using to center it vertically. All right. Actually, sorry. I'm lying. Center it. DT center is center horizontally. I think. Nope, text is a pointer. Yeah, I was almost certain it was. What is going on with you? HDC, we have the text, we have character count, we have the rectangle and the format. What is the problem? Oh, it was simply I forgot to end the line at the rectangle before. Okay, now this will all draw, technically. It'll all draw to the screen. So now what we're going to do is simply we are going to delete the DC so that it doesn't, actually, not delete. We're going to release the DC. Nope. Because the DC that is grabbed from, the DC we have is actually taken from the window itself. So we don't want to delete the DC because that can screw up the window itself. And then we give it. So instead we release it so that it doesn't disappear. It just gets sent back to the window. Usually if you delete the DC, that memory gets wiped completely. So what's painted on the screen may just disappear. So we're going to simply release DC. Now at the very bottom of this callback, we need a return function. And we can simply do return default window procedure. Pass it our handle, our message, our W parameter, our L parameter. And now, technically speaking, this works, but for the sake of breakthroughs, which is in a switchboard argument, each case will continuously read down until either it hits a break function or a return function. So if I have case W in paint, and let's say case WM command, without a break or a return, case WM paint will just keep reading and break into this next case. This is obviously a problem. So for future security's sake, I'm just going to return the default procedure inside of WM paint as well. You could also use break, but I'm just going to return default window procedure. Now, technically speaking, this will run and work exactly how you expect it to. I'm going to hit that right now. I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense. Did it not? Hold on. It might not have switched. No, it switched. What do you mean you can't be overloaded? Yeah. Oh. Because it's looking for a W string. All right. I think the issue that I was having before, I believe it was because it was looking for a W string here. And we do not need that. I think I may have accidentally copied the wrong definition in. And that would probably be the case. That was the case. See, okay. Sometimes that happens. See now, look, wow, the whole screen gets filled up and you literally can't do anything but look at this. Isn't that crazy? Now, this is an issue. If you have one monitor, good luck. I'm kidding. Obviously, Task Manager and Force end it, but I don't have one monitor, so I'm just going to close it myself. But as you could see in the window, that text was kind of small and really boring. So what I'm going to now do is show you a way to make the size bigger and set font and set color for that text. I'm going to be referencing something from before because 50% of the time I forget completely how to do this. So if you catch me looking over this direction, it's because I had to write something down beforehand because there's a couple things I always forget to do when I'm trying this out. So first thing we're going to do is build a font holder by hfont font. We're then going to create a font. And now that I've mentioned that I may look in this direction, I'm going to be so conscious of looking in this direction. Okay, so now we're going to want a height of the text. So in my example that I have for myself, I have it written in negatives. I do not remember the specific reason why you want it to be negative, but I have a test of negative 100. We can pass 0 for height and escapement and orientation. The weight, we can make it at whatever we want. For this, I'm going to make it bold. For italics, we're going to do false, underline false, Strikeout, false. iChar set, false. I out precision. This, I'm not 100% sure what all of these sets do, but I use the ANSI char set, or character set. Now we're going to do out default precision for the clip precision. The quality will be clip default precision I was about to say as well, but the before argument was out. This is the quality of the words that are being drawn onto it. I don't 100% remember what all of the precisions do, but default's nice enough. The pitch and family, we're going to do anti-aliased, so it looks smoother. And the face name, which I'm sorry, I may have written something wrong here. I have to keep looking back at my... Yeah, I did write something wrong. Sorry. For this, I believe that was the iChar set. I accidentally wrote false. ANSI char set, because this sets the character set. And then we come over to here where we can set the font itself. I'm going to write down... sorry, not the font itself. The pitch of the text itself. And for this, sorry, pizza's just catching up to me that I just had. We're going to do a default pitch with FF Swiss. I do believe I stole at least half of this from another person, so that's why I don't remember half the stuff that goes on. I'll probably do a deeper dive into font systems, window font systems, later on. But for this, since this is just the advanced version of the video I made before, or I guess the slightly more advanced, we can get even deeper, but the slightly more advanced version, we're going to stick with this. I am going to use a font that I know works with this. Spelled it wrong. And that creates our font. Now, we also need to color the text itself. So by doing this, we need to do set font color. Man, the fact, sorry, not font color, set text. The fact that I have to keep looking over is kind of terrible, but hey, can't remember everything. Pretty much the same type of situation. We give it to the HDC so that it knows what color we need, and we know that the font gets colored. We give it an RGB value since, you know what, let's make it blue. So 0 in the red, 0 in the green, 255 for the blue. The reason we use 255, which I didn't mention before, is because that is the 8-bit integer limit for unsigned bits. It can't really go higher than this unless you add more bits to the stream, which I'll get into in a different episode. So now we select objects so that we can, oops, I'm spelling like everything wrong, so that we can give our font to the HDC so it knows what font to use. And now when we go to draw text, it will appear how we want it to. I believe this -100 is the pixel, or sorry, not the pixel, the point font size. I do not remember the conversion, but you can look it up online. There's a lot of conversions from point to pixel. But now if we run this program, we will get a huge thing. And look, oh no, it's cut off. This is most likely because the rectangle for the space is not large enough. So what I'm going to do is increase the height of the bottom of the rectangle. And now if we redo it, wow, isn't this way more obvious? In fact, it might not be 100% centered, but I'm not going to sit here and do the math for that. You can try that on your own. We can get a little more creative now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize RG and B for our RGB colors here. And then what I'm going to do is a kind of a crazy situation. I'm not exactly sure how it does this, but earlier when I was testing it, this thing I'm about to set up really freaks out for some reason. So what I'm going to do, minus equals 50 on the red. If blue equals 0, or if blue isn't equal to 0, blue minus equals 75. Or sorry, I should really do this in order, or GB. If B isn't equal to 0, minus equals 100. All right, so basically what it's doing is if the value is equal, or as long as the value isn't equal to 0, it will drop it. And, oh, I know the behavior now. And basically, when I hit debugger here, it's going to change the color sporadic. I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. I forgot to do the only thing that actually matters. And that is, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add sleep so that it doesn't just constantly do this, because I do not believe it'll actually, you know what? I haven't tried this without sleep. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to constantly invalidate the rectangle every single time the window gets a message. So now, okay, that's what I thought was going to happen. So since there's no double buffer, and I'm not going to get into double buffer right now, it is going to flicker like crazy when it goes to draw this. So what we're going to do is put a little timer on this of 1 second. Sleep takes it in manners of milliseconds. And now look at that. It's changing colors, and it's telling you to go fuck yourself, like you should. I'm not sure how quick we can make this. So honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this to 250 milliseconds. And let's see if it still flickers like crazy. Not yet. Let's see if we can go even further. I'm actually kind of curious because I stopped messing with this after I learned back buffering. I don't often use these sleep. Okay. well, that's pretty seizure inducing, but wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. If you wanted it to be less seizure inducing, you could probably do 1, 2, and 3, because then the colors will actually pan through the spectrum a little. Like you can already kind of see a little smoother. Damn. So 10 or 50 might be a little too quick. So let's switch it to 150. Let's try this again. So interesting that it's flickering like that. It usually doesn't do that, but also I guess we could get away with doing this instead of having it erase itself every single time. Let's just write over top of the existing memory. And I know why that's happening now. Okay. Let's do this again. Now what I'm going to do is add a boolean for first. And what I'm going to do is, now I know exactly what the flickering is. The flickering happens to be from fill rectangle. An easy way of stopping this from happening without back buffering is by creating a function where you only let the backfill run once, and then you set your boolean to false. Oops, false. And now when it runs, it won't repaint the background, and this should stop it from flickering. I say that, and then it does it again. This might just be a different issue on in of itself, but there you go. Now you can go tell yourself to fuck yourself. If we didn't do this boolean for if first, we could also gradually change the background color itself, which we could set to a different algorithm. This is just a simple -1, -2, -3. Not really too complicated. If you want to really screw yourself over, you could also do set window pause, send over the window itself, send over a handle position, and this is where you could potentially screw yourself if you set topmost. Actually, if you set topmost and you only have one monitor and your task manager is not set up to appear topmost, you can lock yourself out of your computer, basically. Well, actually, no, because Alt F4 will still work. I'm thinking of other programs I've coded in the past which will catch Alt F4 and make it not work. But if you really want to screw yourself over, you can set this to topmost with these same parameters as before. Ooh, yeah, I did that right. Or actually, what I'm going to do instead of 0 is SW show to make sure it's still showing. And now if it builds, wow, look at that. And you can't see it, but on my other screen, oh, it didn't work. It actually didn't set it to topmost. Did I forget to type topmost? Nope. Weird. It didn't work. That's a first. Maybe they patched that out. All right. Well, guess you won't have to worry about that then. So there it is. How to the more advanced version. Go fuck yourself. Obviously, if you'd want this to start up on startup, you'd go release 64, build your project. Gotta find my file explorer. Oops. Unresolved. I don't know why it's not letting it build. Oh, wait. Did it reset the link? Yep, okay. It's because I made the full solution. Oh, no, it just reset itself. Oh, because it was on debug. This little drop down, it'll be a different system depending on if it was debug or release. I make that mistake all the time. In fact, it peeves me off a lot of the time. Oh, what the? Oh, there we go. So now, wow, x64 release. There it is. And it does it every single time. This will be more reliable for full screen than the previous example. Once again, Windows R, shell, :startup. This will send us to our startup folder. And now we can simply drag and drop this into here. But because I don't want this starting up every single time I turn on my PC, I'm not going to be doing that. Now for bonus content, I'm actually going to be going over a comment I got on a YouTube video. I'm pulling it up right now. It's a good thing that my... Oops. It's a good thing that my audio... Oh, wow. It's still not showing. That's so interesting. Okay. Now, we have this message. That's all I can say about that. I'm trying to be at least somewhat okay here. I'm not sure this message is really needed, especially this, which I can go through my files right now, but I'd rather not. But just to prove something, actually, you know what? I'm not even worried. Just to prove something, I'm going to show the riskiest thing that I have on this PC. Where is it? Am I blind? I think I'm blind. Is it in other? It's not in other. I have a lot of stuff. It might be in jokey stuff. Okay, here we go. This is a joke that I had with my friends, actually, and I'm going to have to include the audio for this next part. I need to mute this so I don't get copyright claimed. All right. So when I open this program, something not at all fucked is going to show up. There it is. This was... Holy shit, I forgot how loud it was. Oh, you're lucky, actually. It doesn't get picked up on the... Oh, wait, because the desk... Okay, there it was. So the desktop audio didn't get picked up 100% last time. This is a joke from school, and honestly, I think this is one of the funnier bits I've had. It is so unbelievably loud. Oh my god. Okay. So this is a bit that I had in school. Actually, this program is terrible. It completely locks you out of everything. You can't Alt F4 it, and it appears topmost, I believe, if you open Task Manager. Okay, good. I forgot my Task Manager set the task most or topmost. But you physically cannot Alt F4 out of this. The only way you can end this is by force closing it. And also, it appears in Task Manager. It appears as a Revit file, which obviously shouldn't be doing that. But, yeah. So I'm going to end that. So, to end this off, I'll basically be trying to figure out this long haul video, which this turned from a quip to a normal video, or almost a long haul video here, but because I'm looking over at my OBS, but yeah, that's how it's gonna go so far. I'm trying to completely understand this long haul. At the moment, I've got like, I couldn't even say. I can display, I can get what I want to get, but I can't do the encoded part because my brain just can't wrap itself around it. But that's where I'll leave it off. Thanks for sticking around for this video. I know this was kind of a longer video, but they're gonna get longer probably. But that was the more advanced version of the Go Fuck Yourself program. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it helped you do something you really needed in life. And that is to go fuck yourself.